Hello YouTube and welcome back to UK Highlands Photography. I'm Strober and today we're talking about working with your camera's built-in light metering modes. So first of all, let's just clarify what the actual light metering modes do. We all know that the camera determines what the exposure should be through using its built-in light meter. So a light metering mode basically just builds upon the technology of the actual light meter itself. So let's begin and let's start talking about the three different light metering modes it is that you will find in a common DSLR. The first metering mode will be the matrix system. So if you have a look at this photograph, you will see that you can see the matrix system visible by a red grid. Now, the matrix system, what that does is that it analyzes light data information from the entire scene or from the entire photograph. And that is how it determines what the correct exposure should be for that particular shot. So basically the matrix system will not ignore highlight data which is over here, it will not ignore midtone data which is here, and it will definitely not ignore the shadows which is here. So that's basically the matrix system. It is perfect for everyday channel photography. However, when we move on to the partial metering system, then we will find that we no longer have like the red grid before, but instead we have a much smaller partial area which is taking the metering, which is taking the light metering to determine the exposure. So basically we're now looking at the partial metering, and partial metering is normally 8 to 13% of the actual scene itself or of the photograph itself. So what this does is, if we now have highlights here and if we have midtones here, what happens is that anything outside this area is ignored. So that means the highlights are ignored and this down here is ignored. The only thing that the light meter now takes into consideration is what's inside that partial metering grid. You get me, guys? So that's partial metering. That is absolutely perfect for when you're working with subjects who have got bright light behind them. For example, if you're photographing a model up against a window, then what would happen in matrix mode, that model would be a silhouette. However, if you use the partial metering mode, then now your subject becomes into perfect exposure. You will get the correct skin tones, etc. However, your background, which would be the bright light outside the window, may now be overexposed. But again, that is partial metering. So let's move on to the third one, and that is spot metering. Spot metering is similar to partial metering, but this time, instead of being 8 to 13% of the entire photograph, it is instead 2 to 4% of your photograph. Spot metering is absolutely perfect for when it comes to working with macro photography, particularly when you're trying to get the correct exposure for flyers. So basically, guys, you have just learned about the three most common types of metering systems that are built into the modern day DSLR. Remember to subscribe to the channel and check out online shop over at www.ukhighland.com when you get the time.